Hello, and welcome back. It is I, Ventus. Today, I have something different for you. I will be relaying the first portion of my planet's history. This will be from the year 0 to 125. To begin with, I must state that our history before the year 0 has largely been destroyed due to the collapse of civilizations or war. My planet has 8 major continents. All have been there since year 0. The names of those continents are Oceania, Illidad, Terra Nostrum, Ebenostrum, Lunamara, Venusia, Moxieri, and Juldred. From the year 0 to 60, all 8 continents were filled with groups of warring city-states, each led by a baron or warlord. The first of the continents that was successfully conquered by one group was Illidad in the year 76. At that time it was known as Ashenborough. However, when the warlord Coven Illidad took over, he formally changed the continent's name. It has remained the same ever since. The rest of the continents followed suit, slowly becoming unified under one ruler. By the year 125, all but one continent had followed this trend. That continent was Juldred. It had long been a wasteland bordered by a forest that ran along the continent's coast. The majority of the inland was a brutal desert, peppered by tundras and valleys. Juldred had been a settlement of bandits and exiled. It was even named for the dreaded fate of those who sought after the treasure of a bandit who had first discovered the continent and used it to hide the loot he amassed. The bandit was known as Plume, for it was said he would vanish like a plume of smoke. No one ever learned his true identity or found his treasure. During the year 100, on Juldred, a man was born, named Rosinante Estes. He was born to exiled monks, whose temple had been destroyed and faith had been outlawed on Lunamara. Rosinante's father did not want to raise him in a country of thieves and exiles, so he, his wife, and newborn son made a difficult pilgrimage to a small island on the opposite side of the world, called Greyface. The island of Greyface was for the most part uninhabited, except for a small population of monks, who lived and studied and trained at a temple. The temple was led by an old giant monk named Ezron, who had been alive for centuries. Prior to his stay at the temple, Ezron was a monstrous warrior, whose exploits dated back before the year 0. Rosinante took to his lessons well, but he truly excelled at his combat training, so much so that Ezron took the boy under his wing and showed him the way of the warrior. Rosinante trained on Greyface for 25 years. During that time, his father and mother told him of his birthplace and about the criminals that lurked there. It was later taken from Rosinante's memoirs that he would often lay awake at night as a child and imagine fighting through endless crowds of enemies. After Rosinante's 25th birthday, he decided to leave Greyface. Knowing of only one other place, he made the pilgrimage back to Juldred. It should be added that he swam most of the way back, after his ship was wrecked during a monsoon. Upon landing back on Juldred, Rosinante saw that everything his parents had told him was still true. The continent was full of rogues. Rosinante spent 2 days living on the beach and learning of Juldred's power structure from a blind beggar who had had his vision taken from him after locking eyes with a noble from Oceania. The beggar told him that the continent was split up amongst 3 major powers. The first, oldest, and largest was a band of thieves who looted the world's wealth, and requested that those under their protection do the same. The second, a group of banished knights whose order had long been erased, yet whose honor kept them protecting those in need. And the third, a woman, a immortal mage. She offered the most neutral ground, at the price that all residents in her territory may be subject to random abduction and experimentation if she so wishes. Rosinante was told that he had landed in the border of the thieves, and that tax collectors would soon come and collect tax from him. or haul him to the labor camp for a week as a warning if he had nothing to pay. The next day the tax collectors came. It was not hard for them to find any newcomers to the territory. The stories of that day have been exaggerated, but the facts line up to this degree. The tax collectors came. They asked Rosinante for his taxes. He told them he had no money and was new to the island. The tax collector reached to grab Rosinante. Rosinante did not allow this, and broke the tax collector's hand with ease. It was only a few hours before the band of thieves returned with reinforcements, in search of the mysterious stranger. They found Rosinante waiting for them on the beach. A crowd of fearful paupers gathered around him. Rosinante told the men who came for him, "Lay down your weapons and quell your spells. I come here to bring a great change. It may be carried by the winds of calm or quakes of wrath." The men did not listen and attacked. In an instant Rosinante stepped forward and unleashed one of his mightiest techniques, the technique known as the Clash of Giants. It is important to state that Rosinante was the first non-giant being in recorded history to properly use a giant-focused weaponized art. Rosinante blew all the men away with one powerful strike of his fist. This is where he was given the first of his nicknames, the Shield Breaker. After defeating the small group of armed men, Rosinante made his way to the Manor of Thieves, located in the town called Shardshine. This was where the ruling class of bandits stayed. Shardshine was a heavily protected town, having the brunt of the bandit tribe's army located inside. Yet this bulk of men did little to nothing to stop the advance of Rosinante. His finely honed fists tore asunder any man that stood in his way. In one night Rosinante made his way to the door of the manor. By dawn he sieged the mansion. 1 hour into the morning Rosinante had claimed the head of the bandit king and declared himself the ruler of the territory. He had always found it fitting that he stole it from a group of thieves. Rosinante wasted no time to meet the banished knights, who held power over a third of the continent. He offered them a truce, a chance to create a kingdom founded on freedom and peace. The knights searched the soul of Rosinante with a single look. They sensed no malice in his heart. The knights agreed to join with Rosinante, and once again gained a title. From that day the knights were known as the Promised Knights. Still to this day it is not wise to challenge a Promised Knight to one-on-one combat. This was one of the first steps that led to the unification of the final wild land of my earth. These small steps led to monumental change in the hierarchy of power across the world, and like most changes, this led to incredible amount of bloodshed. However, that portion of history will have to wait for another day. Thank you for listening, and do not allow my world's history to parallel that of your own. I will leave you with a chant. Ex Rengo imperium gladis militum cinerum vombiscus fererum rex gloriali.